Good morning, everyone. March 29th, with your corner of Zeese, your cup of coffee. Bix Weir here, road2roota.com. Lots going on today. Take a big sip before we get into it. First of all, happy birthday, Amy. It's my wife's birthday today. Nice job, babe. You got older. Good job. She's going to love that. Crazy stuff going on today. Don't forget, today is Hump Day, the interview I have every week with the Guerrilla Economist. I post it on the website, but you can also listen to it live if you're around at, I think it's 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 o'clock Eastern time at V's Rogue Money YouTube channel. But I'll be posting as well at road2roota.com. All right, let's get going. It looks like the Brexit officially begins. EU receives Article 50 notice from the UK. What happens next? There is no going back now. Moments ago, the EU Tusk received the signed Brexit notification letter from UK envoy, triggering 2-year countdown to British withdrawal from the EU. Here's what happens next. First of all, it's not going to last 2 years. The EU is falling apart. Every single day it's getting worse and worse and worse. It was designed, ultimately it was designed to fall apart. I don't think they wanted it to fall apart this soon. They want to consolidate power, more power first, so that when it does fall apart, all of Europe would fall into the arms of the EU. That's not happening at all. And all the countries within Europe are going to fall into the arms of nationalism, the exact opposite of what the EU was set up for. So great news for the freedom and liberty of people in Europe. Bad news for the rulers and kings that want to take over. Shooting reported near the Capitol involving police officer. According to unconfirmed press reports, there has been a shooting in Washington, D.C. at Independence in Washington, near the U.S. Capitol. Bloomberg adds that an officer has been involved in the shooting, which is described as an ongoing incident. We've been talking about this almost daily. Almost daily, there's something going on right near the White House. Those are signs of trouble with our government. Big trouble. And that's good. Trouble with the government is good. Trouble between two classes of people in the United States is bad. The whole left-right battle is a bad thing. It's ideologies fighting each other. The people fighting the government is a good thing. I'm not saying that it's good to go and shoot people and leave bombs on the front doorstep of the White House, but we want the enemy to be the banks and the government. We don't want the enemy to be the liberals against the Republicans and the conservatives. And we do not want a civil war. We want a revolution where the people, a peaceful revolution, where the people take out these few that control us. So you're going to hear a lot more about things happening at Capitol buildings all around, not only federal government, although federal government's the most important, because state government needs to be strong during this time so that when the collapse happens, we shut down most of the federal government and we keep our state governments, and we return to the United States of America, which is a good thing. All right, moving on. Chinese gold miner claims discovery of largest gold mine ever. Yes, you're going to see a lot more of this, and more and more and more. The largest gold find ever is not in China right now. It's in the Grand Canyon, and I've talked about it many times. I have a book coming out about it if I ever finish it. I've been so busy lately. But yeah, there's all kinds of hidden gold mines all around the world. And interesting that China would put this news out there, because it's all about timing. And since we are going to go on to some form of a gold standard after this current system breaks down, China knows it. They've been preparing. Jim Sinclair had talked about these Chinese gold purchasers for the last 15 years. He knew them by name, that would soak up 2,000 tons of gold every year and on the sly. And that was China buying gold. So yeah, China has, nobody knows exactly how much gold any country has. The official numbers are ridiculous. I would imagine China has pulled in the last 20 years maybe 100,000 tons of gold. The U.S., unknown amounts. I mean, it's not the 8,000 tons that they say. It's such ridiculous numbers. Because the total amount of gold in the world is not 180,000 tons. It's more like, I would say 2 million tons above ground and in ground. Nobody knows. I don't even think the governments know. And they've had geologists running around the world trying to figure out the true numbers secretly. I was talking to Cliff High, and there was all kinds of rumors of geologists running around in Washington State looking for natural resources and recording what everybody has, because all these governments are planning to go back onto a gold standard or some kind of resource-based standard. So, yeah, it doesn't surprise me to hear that the largest gold mine ever has been found, because there's going to be dozens of them found when the system falls apart. Another very large one is the gold at Chocolate Mountain that Dianne Feinstein hid away, basically. And it's a gigantic gold mine. Nobody knows how much is in there. All these Congress people flew out to see it before they closed it and put it in a natural desert wildlife preserve. Did you this whole thing about California breaking away from the federal government cracks me up, because 41% of California is owned by the federal government legally. So yeah, California breaks away and they only get 59% of all the land in California, unless they want to go to war with the federal government. Yeah, who would win that war? the California State Patrolmen or the U.S. military? Anyway, it's kind of silly, the whole games that are going on, but they're important, and it has to do with states' rights over the federal government's rights, and the federal government's going to be destroyed, ripped apart, and then put back together so that 35 million people don't work for the federal government anymore. I would guess maximum. Who knows the maximum? Definitely no more than 100,000 people need to work for the federal government. So you go, where are people going to find work? Well, there's going to be a lot of need for people to build things that are built in China right now when the system falls apart. That's all part of the idea of the road to Roota, is when you blow the bubble as big as possible, suck up all the benefits, the bubble pops, bring all your troops home, put them on the borders. You have manufacturing for all your people, because China is not going to sell us anything anymore, and globalization will end overnight when the banks crash. All right, moving on. Dennis Gartman, we have no choice but to be bullish of equities. Short the equities, people. Gartman is 100% wrong every single time, and Zero Hedge love to tease him about it. So, and it's true. It's unbelievable. And either he's, a lot of people say he works for the bad guys who are pushing the market one way or the other to get the population, the majority of the dumb investors, to go a certain way, because you need a majority to go this way for it to snap back and go that way. So that's why JP Morgan shorts silver on the highs and buys on the lows, because you need to take a contrarian view. Then you force the price of silver down, and everybody tries to sell their silver, and then that's when you buy and it moves up, and it's just like that, bump, bump, bump. And Gartman is a henchman, I would say, for the bad guys, or he's just completely stupid and gets everything wrong, and I don't know why he's on CNN talking about economics. Alrighty. Noise level is deafening. Trader warns investors, stop acting like an emotional wreck. This is not traders. The price of anything these days on markets does not move because of traders. It moves because the Treasury and the U.S. Fed want it to move a certain way. They click their mouse on their computer and buy, or sell, and buy and sell back and forth to each other to make sure the price goes where it needs to go. It is crazy what is going on now, and anybody who tries to analyze the markets and say, well, gold went up because of this, or the stock market went down because of this, is wrong, because in reality it's controlled 100% and has been controlled with computers and derivatives from the basement of the Fed. There's a computer trading floor on the basement of the Fed, basement of the Treasury, sorry. The Fed New York also has a trading floor, computer trading floor, but the basement of the Treasury is the big one. I'm dying to go there. I learned about it about 10, 15 years ago. It snuck out. It was a tour of the U.S. Treasury building that they snuck it out, and nobody really took notice of why does the U.S. Treasury have computer trading floor in their basement. But it's been there for a long, long time. Yeah, that's how you control the markets, my friends. All right. So here's interesting stuff. On the road to Roota, has the whole system falling apart, the federal government collapsing, and power going to the state, back to the state government. And here we have an article. Government shutdown odds rise to 40%, according to Deutsche Bank. According to Deutsche Bank, there's a significant chance that the Freedom Caucus will reject a new continuing resolution due to their opposition to the continued funding of Planned Parenthood and Obamacare, while Trump's spending plans for a border wall will see opposition from both parties. As a result, the bank estimates the probability of a government shutdown at roughly 40% and notes that the next 2 weeks will be critical to watch. Yes, that's the whole idea. That's why spending goes through the roof. Run the system, unback fiat system as long and hard as you can, soaking up all the benefits, and then destroy the system. We're at the time when you have to destroy the system, and to destroy the system, you need total incompetence, total money spending, total gridlock in Washington. That's where we are. And if you can't see it, just open your eyes and look around. That's exactly what's happening. And many people are lulled to sleep with the non-activity in the prices of gold and silver, the non-activity in the stock market. Everything's like trades in a range, and everything. They have to keep it safe and stable. They don't want to leak out that the whole system's about to implode. But when it does shut down, there's such gridlock in Washington. I mean, if you were to stand back, 10 years ago and plan out the perfect way to destroy the system, this would be it. You get gridlock in Washington. You get budgets off the charts. You get debt off the charts. You get Europe imploding. So congratulations to the master planners behind the scenes. The invisible hand was not so invisible, was it, Alan Greenspan? Alan Greenspan was the guy who wrote Root A. Root A is a computer term. It is the base root of our financial system. Yes, Alan Greenspan is the guy who invented the electronic asset back in the 60s and has controlled the system with the Fed and the Treasury since the late 60s and 70s as the head of the Council of Economic Advisors. When Greenspan was put in charge of the Fed, everybody was like blown away, shaking their head, because Greenspan was known as an ultimate gold bug, an anti-government guy. And then he got it into the Fed and did exactly what you'd expect someone who wants to crash the system to do. Easy, cheap money, pull regulations away to give the banks enough rope to hang themselves. I mean, looking back, it's just so obvious. And Greenspan's getting old now. He's up in his 90s, so if he's gonna pull the plug, he's gonna want to see it. I think he's pretty much way too old to do any kind of debating or arguing about it. But it's set in stone. The system will implode, and we will return to a safe and sound form of money, and the bad guys will be taken out. I love it. Michael Moore loses it again, warns of extinction of human life due to Donald Trump. I don't even know what to say about Michael Moore. He plays his part, I think, in the game. He could say anything he wants, but Trump is battling some titanic forces. Meaning those who control us, the bad guys who control us. This is not a left-right thing. This is not a Republican-Democrat thing. Trump is fighting the Republicans just as hard as he's fighting the Democrats, and I don't envy him. He's not the head guy of this movement. The head guy of the movement, I believe, when we finally said, okay, this is enough, there was a group of them, but one of the main guys is Michael Mukasey. Michael Mukasey was the Attorney General for the U.S. for a while. He was a judge who presided over like 9/11 and all kinds of terrorism cases. And he was forced to rule the way he did. He saw everything. He knew everything. And he and a bunch of people, a bunch of the military said, enough is enough. We got to take these guys out. It's going to be ugly while we take them out. And so they've tried to put Ron Paul in there. Ron Paul just wasn't strong enough to do it, to get through it. And Donald Trump was, believe it or not, being the bombastic ass that he is. We needed someone like that to be the front man, to take pressure away in other areas. So a lot going on behind the scenes. U.S. commanders, certain people within the U.S. government are itching for war, because that's how you get out of economic problems. in the past. You start a war, and then all the attention gets diverted, all the money starts to get spent again, and you usually get nationalism. But now I don't think you can get any nationalism if we started a war. If anybody started a war, but the bad guys are gonna be pushing for war because that's always their solution: war and print more money and then move on. Again, Article 50 is triggered. That's a huge thing for the European Union and the banks, especially. They're not going to know what to do with their. I heard it was like 20 trillion in derivatives that are attached to the sovereign debt in the euro. Insane. I mean, no bank can handle that kind of hit, and especially banks that are wobbling. If you notice, the bank shares of stocks are starting to fall when everything's supposedly rosy. And I heard there was another banker suicide last night. Remember, 2008, it was bankers falling out of buildings like it was raining. And bankers are funny people. I was a banker for a while. Yes, I worked for a financial company for a long time, financing large equipment. Did a lot of mining equipment. That's how I got into gold and silver. But bankers don't quit or don't commit suicide when things are going fine. When things are going fine, they're living high on the hog, and they love their jobs and their positions. When you start hearing of bankers quitting or retiring, it all has to do with things are switching or dying or committing suicide by shooting themselves 5 times in the head with a shotgun. It's all about the bad guys cleaning house and the bankers trying to run for the hills. So I think it's starting again. I haven't seen the banker suicide thing in here, but there was someone yesterday. Let's see what we got. Trump's border wall may force government shutdown. Brilliant. That's what we want. We want a federal government shutdown. We want the dollar to crash. We want the system to crash. We want everything to go away. And the only way to do that is to destroy the banks through the derivative market. And that would do it. A government shutdown is a great way to do it. The Brexit is a great way to do it. All these things are perfect for the plan on the road to Roota. Destroy the old system and build something new. Global stocks and S&P futures, little changed on Brexit day. This little changed because there's guys sitting in the basement of the Treasury. Click, 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 click. All right, everything's under control. I'm going home for the day. Crazy, crazy stuff. Let's see. This is a good one. A DNC asked entire staff for resignation letters. The DNC, the Democrats, are just imploding, and both parties should. I mean, the insanity of the two-party system in America, where both sides are controlled by the same people, we have to just wake up and take control of our government again. I think that's exactly what's happening in the DNC, firing their whole staff to start again. And this guy Tom Perez is bad news, so that's great. Just have him there. Fire everybody except yourself, and he's going to restock it with probably more militant type of Democrats, which are all over the place, and that would get people to join his cause if you get militant Democrats in there. And all of a sudden, the militant Democrats are scarier than the Republicans, and just insane, all of this. Putin's still cleaning house over there in Ukraine and in Russia, and I mean, I am fearful that the United States, the bad people within the United States, might provoke a war with Russia. If you listen to the John Teeter stuff, that time traveler guy, it is a war with Russia that ultimately turns into World War III, and Russia ends up nuking a few of the cities in the United States. Do I believe it? No and yes at times, because there's things he's gotten right. But I do believe we control our own future, and we can change the way things are going. And no one would have predicted that Trump would have made it into office. Some people predicted it, but no one would have known just how it went down. So I do think a big change was made in our timeline right at that point in time. But we'll see. But I don't like us putting troops and tanks and missiles on the border of Russia. Nothing good. It's like when the Russians put missiles in Cuba. We weren't happy about that, and Russia shouldn't be happy about the U.S. and NATO putting missiles and tanks on their border. So hopefully calmer heads will prevail. I don't think Trump will allow anybody within the government to push it that far, because a lot of the military generals are on Trump's side in taking out these bad guys. But all the consultants from the bad guys will say, we need to protect the United States. Russia's taking out. Ridiculous. Oh, there it is. Partner at Paulson and Company jumps to his death in Midtown Manhattan. A 56-year-old partner at Paulson & Co., who's best known for losing billions of his clients' money to Bernie Madoff's Ponzi scheme when he ran the Fairfield Greenwich Fund of Funds, leaped to his death from the luxury Sofitel Hotel in Midtown Manhattan. Leaped to his death. It sounds so romantic. Ta-da! I'm dying. Most likely he was thrown. Because he's 56, pretty young in the banking world, and these guys, if he was going to kill himself, he would have done it when the Madoff Ponzi scheme fell apart. So he's probably knee deep with the bad guys. He did something wrong and was shown the door, or shown the window, so to speak. We're going to see a lot more of that. There used to be a website that had a counter of how many bankers were committing suicide. I'm sure that'll start up again as we get deeper and deeper into the transition out of the old system into the new system. That's it for today. Make sure you check into Hump Day, and I'll post it later this afternoon, the Hump Day interview with V. We're going to talk a lot about the Manhattan Project Silver and that report I just sent. If you haven't seen the video, check it out. Go to the Road to Roota YouTube channel and check out all the videos. Make sure you subscribe, because there's a lot I've been posting there that I haven't sent out to people yet. It just appears on the channel. I don't want to send out too many emails to people, because it's a pain in the butt. But if you're interested, go to the YouTube channel and check it out. Anyway, this is Bix Weir, roadtoruta.com. I'm signing off. Have a good day.